It's time once again for Talking Bible with the Brandons, the only podcast that proves a Tennessee fan and an Alabama fan can get along. Here's your host, Pastors Brandon Pugh and Brandon Carter.
Whoa! Yeah! Happy Friday!
Did your speakers burst out of your computer or
right
phone
now,
when you heard that?
If Michael Moose Stevenson were here, he would be like hitting every button frantically he could just to
You
lower
probably
the volume.
You probably just busted his equipment up
It's
right
like,
there.
Yeah, like all of it, like his thousands of
or
dollars
smoke coming
here.
out of that little
Sorry
console.
about that, Catherine. He's going to have to get all new stuff now.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Shouldn't cost less than $20,000.
Nope. Yeah. I mean, but this is for a good cause.
That's right.
So, yeah. No need to feel upset about that, and no need to feel upset about talking Bible today because, you guessed it, we find ourselves right back in the book of Ezra. Remember, if you were here with us yesterday through our discussion, you'll remember that those godless pagans tried interfering with the work of the Lord as they always do, but yet the Lord prevails through his people.
Yes.
Is that what we see today?
Yes. So a godless pagan, by the way, sent them over there to build the temple.
He did.
And then some godless other pagans tried to stop it.
Those were worse godless pagans.
And they got it stopped. And then in chapters 5 and 6, a governor there kind of gets on their side and helps them get it back going again. And they do a search and find the decree by King Cyrus, and work begins again.
That's correct.
Yep.
That is correct. So back on track. I feel like, dude, are there not some similarities here with kind of what we got going on with our sanctuary remodel here? And just the work being stopped.
Something like that.
I mean, I'll be honest. There have been times that I've been pretty frustrated with these civil authorities that are over us, telling us what we can do and where and how we can worship.
It's not exactly the same thing.
You know, there are some similarities, though. Can't help but think about it as I'm reading through this narrative here. But the Lord's work will not be thwarted. It may be delayed if he desires it to be delayed, but it will not be thwarted. And that's what we see happening here at Bethel as the reconstruction of the temple begins. And what we see here with the reconstruction of the temple in Jerusalem. Brandon, take it away here, man. What did you see here from today's reading that just really stood out to you?
Okay, so in chapter 5, they kind of get a new start on things, and after they had come back, they're getting some things going again. The decree of Darius comes forth. They finish the temple and they dedicate it. And here's how it ends in chapter 6. It says, on the 14th day of the first month, the returned exiles kept the Passover. They had purified themselves. They were all clean. And so they had the Passover. It was eaten by the people who had kept themselves from uncleanness and so forth. It says they kept the feast with joy, for the Lord had made them joyful and had turned the heart of the king of Assyria to them, so that he had aided them in the work of the house of God, the God of Israel. So here's what I noticed over through chapter 5, but especially 6, was there's an offerings theme going on. This is about making offerings. This is about making offerings.
Yes.
And then they keep the Passover and the other feast here. And so what this reminded me is, why does God restore his people? And the purpose of restoration is ultimately that we can worship him. Worship is the goal, a joyful worship.
You betcha.
God restores us. That gives us true joy. That's ultimately in Jesus Christ. And what is our reasonable response?
Yeah, it offers our bodies as a living sacrifice.
Romans 12. See, so they would have offered, burnt offerings, animals, so forth. We're fast forwarding. We're now New Testament people. And so how do we respond to the Lord when he restores us? Ultimately through Jesus, we worship. And every week is a week of worship. We are worshiping the Lord and offering him ourselves wholeheartedly out of a response to his gracious love and work in our lives. He built the real temple, right? Jesus, the body of Christ, who died for us. And so our response is to worship him with all we have. So that's the way that's what I took from this when I read it.
That's good. Well, it's kind of piggybacks off of what I was thinking as well. For me, I focused in on 6 through 12, chapter 6, 6 through 12. And right there it just says, now therefore, Tatnai, governor of the province beyond the river, Shethar-Bozenai, and your associates, the governors who are in the province beyond the river, keep away. Let the work of this house of God alone. Let the governor of the Jews and the elders of the Jews rebuild this house of God on its site. Moreover, I make a decree regarding what you shall do for these elders of the Jews for the rebuilding of the house of God. The cost is to be paid to these men in full without delay from the royal revenue and the tribute of the province from beyond the river, and whatever is needed. Bulls, rams, sheep for burnt offering to the God of heaven, wheat, salt, wine, or oil, as the priests at Jerusalem require. Let that be given to them day by day without fail, that they may offer pleasing sacrifices to the God of heaven and pray for the life of the king and his sons. Also I make a decree that if anyone alters this edict, a beam shall be pulled out of his house, and he shall be impaled on it, and his house shall be made a dunghill. That's rough. May the God who has caused his name to dwell there overthrow any king or people who shall put out a hand to alter this or destroy this house of God that is in Jerusalem. I, Darius, make a decree. Let it be done with all diligence. See, that right there is a good godless pagan right there. Okay, that is one that is for us and not against us. But what I took away from that was that, as a Christian, the eye of God is upon you. There's no greater blessing than that. Mm-hmm. And God, he may not provide for you whenever it comes to the means to satisfy your own personal desires, maybe even sinful desires. God's not going to provide for that. Mm-hmm. But he is going to provide for you in a way that you can worship him. And that's what we see here for the rebuilding of the temple here. He gives us what we may give back to him ultimately.
Yeah, and there's just this huge redemptive purpose that's going on here, and that's to reestablish the worship of his people in fulfillment of his promise to bring them back from exile.
Yeah.
So that's one of those big purposes that's not going to be stopped, that God had made a promise in Scripture by the prophets. So God may not make a promise to you about, like, I'm going to
getting the new job.
Yeah.
Getting the new car.
Yeah, there may not be that's not written in the Bible. He may give you that. He may move a boss of yours to do something in your favor. Who knows? You know, God, right? You could make the argument, why didn't God stir the heart of Artaxerxes? He stirred Cyrus. He stirred Darius. Yeah. Why didn't he do Artaxerxes? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe he was testing his people. Mm-hmm. He says, with this king, I'm going to test you. With this king, I'm going to rule in your favor. With this king, I'm going to test you and see what happens. All of that is under God's hand. Could he have changed Artaxerxes' heart?
Yes.
Sure he could have.
Yeah.
Why he didn't? I don't know.
That's God's call right
don't know.
there. So, I mean, I think, this isn't there's not a ton to really kind of examine here today. A thought did occur to me, though, as just a little bit of a side note here. So they're sacrificing, sacrificing all of the bulls and the rams and sheep and all that. And do you know what was the considered the greatest sacrifice, Old Testament time there, as far as, a love offering to the Lord or a sin offering? What was the highest one?
Are you talking about the Day of Atonement?
No, I'm just talking about all the animals. Which one was the big dog?
Gosh, I can't.
If you really messed up, what did you need to have to bring?
A goat.
A bull, man. Come on, man. A bull is clearly
The goat
more
was
valuable.
the one that they used on the Day of Atonement.
Yeah,
the scapegoat.
Yeah, but if you look at just kind of the law, the Old Testament law, and all the things that you would have to sacrifice if you did certain things, the bull was kind of if you really messed up.
Yeah.
And so we see right here, whenever they're rededicating the temple, right? It says that they offered at the dedication of this house of God 100 bulls, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and as a sin offering for all of Israel, 12 male goats according to the number of the tribes of Israel. And I just thought, so like all of this, like is making an aroma, right?
Oh yeah.
And I just thought, man, what a killer barbecue like this would have been. Like 100 bulls. Like imagine how good like that smelled. Because I had some steaks on the grill the other night, and I was thinking, this smells so good. And I bet you this is one of God's favorite smells too, because He prescribes this in His sacrifices. Hey, if you're gonna atone for something, at least throw some steak on the grill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, lambs probably smell good too.
You're probably right about that.
I like some lamb kebabs.
It's
and
easy to
lamb
dry
chops.
it out though, so
Yeah.
you gotta be careful with it.
I don't know about goats.
I've never had goat myself, but maybe we're missing out on something.
It tastes like chicken.
Is that right? Have
I
you
don't
heard
know.
that?
I just made
You
that up.
think the reason why everything tastes like chicken is God ran out of flavors to give things, and He
I
just
doubt
thought,
God ran out of anything.
We'll just make this one taste like chicken too. Gator tail. You ever had gator tail?
I have had gator.
That does taste like chicken.
It's good.
Yeah, it is good. It's very tender.
Yeah. What does this have to do with Ezra?
It doesn't. But I was
It's
just
Friday.
It is Friday, and my mind is steaks on the grill.
There
That's
you go.
just kind of where it's at there. So
That sounds good.
guilty as charged. What can I say?
Yeah.
I won't apologize for it. Man, you got anything else?
I'm all out now.
Yeah, kind of run out of steam.
Yeah,
on
you
that
just
note, how do you
You
follow
kind of
that?
killed it, there,
Yeah, it's early, guys. Take the rest of the day off, okay?
There you go. But
so
we're going to jump to Zechariah
Yeah.
and then back to Ezra.
we will be back. So
Because Zechariah was a prophet during this time, and that's why they're doing that.
a lot of prophets during the exile. A lot of them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And why would that be important?
Well, I think, just to remind people that God hasn't abandoned them and He has plans for them.
It's kind of two things, actually. It's like they had one role was like, you're the reason you're here. I mean, it was like, it wasn't nice. It was like, the reason you're here is because of your disobedience. But there was also always kind of all right, but
Which one's Zechariah? Is he one
God's
of the,
going to pull you through.
is he one of the ones that's like, you're the reason? Or is he one of the
I
ones?
think he does a lot of, his is a series of visions.
Mm-hmm.
He has a series of visions, and it's meant to bring hope and to kind of give them a final picture of God's redemption.
Okay. So there you go, folks. A little teaser for next week. That's all we got for this week. But yeah, just make sure you're reading along there. Zechariah chapters 1.
Yeah. And I like my steak medium.
Medium.
If you're wanting to fix me one.
Okay. I mean, I've kind of got to the
Ribeye.
point where I like it medium rare.
Either way, I'll eat it that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's definitely. So I had a side note. We'll have to be really quick. Side note, my family came in for Father's Day. And, man, if you go to Holt's down the road here, if you guys are some of our listeners that don't live in this area, you need a Holt's in your town because Holt's has these huge, like, thick cuts, like ribeyes and strips and anything you'd really want, and they really, they sell them for reasonable prices there. I think I got like New York strips the other day, like $6.99, $7.99 a pound, something great. But anyway, instead of getting my dad and then my grandfather, he came in, instead of getting them presents for Father's Day, because I'm a father too. It's like, well, I said, man, I'm just going to get these guys some big, huge,
Thick steak.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be what I would want, and I did. I ended up getting not only them, but I ended up getting the whole family. My mom and my grandmother were there, and they like their steak cooked well done.
Yeah, that's no point.
Oh,
It's like eating shoe leather.
It like pained me, like sitting there watching it on the grill, just like getting burned.
Yeah.
And I was helpless. I I had to honor,
You couldn't, yeah.
the request of my mother and my grandmother, but, once again, one of God's favorite sins, steak on the grill.
There you go.
So if y'all take anything away from today, may that be it. Yeah. That's all the time we've got for today. So, as always,
see you Sunday morning,
that's
10:30.
right. So, either here in person or online, we welcome you either way.
That's it.
Thanks for listening to the Bible with the Brandons. Be sure to like our page on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search for Bethel Baptist RC. You can also get updates at our website at www.bethelnow.net. Thanks again for listening.